Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Not sure what else other holidays are going on right now, but yeah, whatever holidays you celebrate, I hope you have an amazing holiday. Well, welcome everybody. Let's see what we got going on here. As you jump in, as you join in, jump into the chat and let me know you're here. Let me know you're here. Let me know where you're coming in from. I would love to. I'd love to know. So yeah, jump on in. So hi everybody, welcome. It's been a few weeks since I did one of these, so I wanted to jump on and yeah, have a chance to review 2025. Talk a little bit about what's going to happen in 2026. A couple big announcements. What else? Yeah, talk about gear, since it's that kind of end of year gear and review time of stuff as well, and answer any questions you guys have. So if you've got any questions about anything, definitely chuck them into the chat. I will do my best to answer everything as much as I can. If there's something I don't know, I'll just say I don't know it. But I'd love to have this one last chance in 2025 to chat with everybody and get together and talk a little bit about music and gear and nerdy stuff and life and whatever else it is that you want to chat about. So we'll let everybody kind of join us in here. Let's see. Hello to Miami. Hello to Erie, Colorado. I see there. Yeah, let me know where you're here from. Put it into the chat. Any questions that you have, put them into the chat. I'm happy to answer them. We're going to talk a little bit about all of this stuff if you want to, including this stuff if you want to, and then anything else that you'd like to chat about this time. I do have a few announcements to make. First and foremost, very excited that after a very long break from releasing music, I have a new release that came out a couple of days ago. It's called Obscura, and it is out on Diffuse Reality Records. It right now is it is an exclusive on Beatport, so I would love it. I would really appreciate it. It would be a huge help if you could go over to Beatport. There's a link down in the description of this video. Go over to Beatport, grab a copy of the EP. It's a 6-track, all recorded live on this gear that we have right here in front of us, and yes, I'm pretty excited. It debuted yesterday at number 18 in the Beatport Top 100 Techno Releases. Was very excited to wake up this morning and have it at number 10. So obviously, any help to jump in there and grab a copy of it so that we can keep it going would be amazing. Great way to end the year and potentially start off the new year with a top 10 track, or a top 10 release. So I'm very excited about that. So go check that out right now. We'll talk a little bit about how that release was made as well during this stream, because I wanted to put that out there because all of it's documented on this channel. So I would love for you to take a look at it and see what you think of it. I was spending some time the other day in a studio here in Denver with some friends of mine who invited me in to kind of go through the hardware stuff, because they're studio producers and kind of in the box producers and aren't really in the whole modular live hardware world. And so we wanted to chat about that and had a great time. And it just got me thinking that I wanted to talk a little bit about this kind of stuff. So, chatting about a little bit about production and how that's kind of evolved over time. I know there's a lot of questions about that. And usually the only chance I get to answer those is in my production course, which, one more shameless plug, my improvised live performance course and my hybrid production course are both enrolling now for January. So if you'd like to take the January session of either of those, now is the time to do it. There's a discount right now. If you put in 2026 at checkout as your discount code, you'll get a little discount off the price. So I would love to see you in there. Come on over, and if you do the performance course, it's basically about kind of all of the theory and ideas and methodology and system behind doing improvised live performances. And then the hybrid production course is about using hardware and live performance techniques in production, and using production and the output of production in improvised live performances. So it's, kind of this loop cycle of back and forth between gear, DAW, and how you can kind of use each to get the best out of what they do. And so that way you're not just kind of stuck with the limitations of one or the other and always trying to kind of make things work. You can get the best of both worlds by putting those two things together. So definitely, if you would like to check those out, sign up for those courses now. You can go to circlelive.com/courses, or you can sign up. There's a link down in the description of the video as well. So other than that, let's see who all is here. Paul, welcome from Cleveland. Good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, I see some Berlin action. Thank you for the congratulations on the release. Let's see, who else do we have in here? Let's see, we got our first question. Awesome. If you have any questions, like I said, please put those into the chat, and happy to discuss those. I can show you things here on the setup. It's all connected through, or we can just chat about stuff. So let's see. Would love to know how much post-production goes into your release tracks. That's a great question. So in this current release, which is out right now, the post-production is very minimal. So what I did was, if you've been on these before, you've seen that my live sets and my performances are all improvised. So I kind of start from scratch, make it up kind of right as I go. And, I'm writing the music live as I'm performing it. And I did, in this past year, I did a 2-hour long improvised live set for Rinse FM from the UK. And I ended up taking, a couple things. I recorded that, obviously, audio to send to them. So it's available on rinsefm.com. So you can go over and check that out. And then I also videoed that whole session, which is on this YouTube channel. So if you want to go check out the Rinse FM video, it's basically the live performance that was as it was being recorded for the Rinse FM live stream. And what I ended up doing afterwards was I took that 2-hour long live stream and I pulled out 6 different sections that were things that I felt that could be a track, which is not always easy in an improvised live performance, because since you're not performing track to track to track, things end up kind of morphing from one into the next, and there aren't these kind of clear delineations of what makes a track. So finding things that not only sound the way you want them to, but have something interesting and creative and artistic that you want to put out there, but also that kind of just happen to fit into that kind of structure of a track. It took a little bit to kind of pull those out. And so what I did was I pulled them out and I did kind of the minimum amount of, kind of setting things up to where that there was like an intro and outro to make them a little bit DJ friendly. And then doing just a little bit of mastering on it. But the tracks themselves were recorded just stereo out for my live setup. So there wasn't any multi-tracking done at all. So I couldn't go back in and fix anything. And that was intentional. And that's actually something that we talk about a bit in the production course. The idea that, if it's going to be a recording of a live performance, and if I want people to hear me and the way I perform and kind of write live in the tracks, they have to have that kind of raw live vibe, feel to it. So there's going to be imperfections. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be little things that don't quite fit to the, 8, 16, 32, 64 grid, and, a little bit, small break, next build, big breakdown, big drop, whatever. It doesn't always fit that way. And it's part of what I love about improvised live performance. And because of that, I wanted to capture that in the music. So I didn't want to go back in and kind of, refine the soul out of what I had recorded. So the challenge was to go in and kind of record these bits. And I wasn't originally planning on putting them out. I just kind of put them out to some friends, and word got around to the label that ended up putting them out, and they said they enjoyed it and they wanted to put them all out as a group just the way they were, which made me happy. And so I agreed to it, because a lot of times you'll submit things to a label and they'll say, I like this track but not this track, and I want you to change this and change this so that it kind of fits with our label. So when you find somebody who's willing to put things out the way you intended them to be, and you kind of get to choose the order of the tracks and every single thing about it, it's really nice. And so that was why I was really thankful that Diffuse Reality decided to do that and put those out. So so to answer the question about how much post-production, not a lot in this case. Now, it all depends on how it's recorded, how I've decided to do that particular track or those particular tracks. These ones were taken from a stereo out, so there's not a lot of post-production I could do other than kind of mastering what I mixed live and dealing with what I did live. So not any real editing going into these at all. These were kind of chunks taken out of that. So that's one reason why I wanted to kind of show that whole recording session where I recorded the whole 2 hours is available to watch on my YouTube channel. So the cool part is you can go in and you can take those tracks that are on the release and you'll hear them in the live performance, and you can see where they were taken out of. And through that, you can actually watch them being produced live in the moment, watch them being written as they're being recorded. So I thought it was a pretty interesting thing, and I was thinking about maybe in this upcoming year doing some sort of an edited video with each track, so that you could see exactly what was going on just in those tracks rather than the whole thing if you didn't want to watch it. But so anyway, that was the answer to that. Now, that's not always the case. Just so you know, there are times where I will multi-track out of my modular or out of my live rig, and I'll take those multiple tracks and I'll go in and fix those a bit, but I do try to avoid that as much as I can. And then there's other times where I'll do things, mostly in the box, and I'll record individual tracks out of the live setup or things like that. So it really kind of depends, but in this case, not a lot. All right, what else do we have here? I still need to send you that Zoom. Oh yes, sorry about that. I will send that to you so we can do our Zoom one-on-ones. Yes, I will. I thought I sent that to you, if I'm not wrong. It should be a Calendly link. It's not a Zoom link, but anyway, you can go ahead and check that out. So quick review of 2025. It was a fun year, crazy year, lots of stuff going on, lots of great shows from, I played from West Coast to East Coast in the US. I played in, Seattle, in San Francisco, in Portland, in LA, in Chicago, in Ohio, here in Denver, New York City, all over the place. It was great in the US. Then in Europe, I played a number of times in Germany. I played a few shows in Berlin. I played a show in Magdeburg. I played shows in the Netherlands during ADE week. Got to teach a course during that week as well, which was really a lot of fun. So yeah, it was a great year of performances, which for me kind of led to where we are now at the end of the year, which was wanting to take a bunch of that stuff and get it down and release it. Some of those individual tracks that I performed live, and also kind of push through with some other new stuff. So teaching some more courses, doing some more performances, and doing some more releases. So there was a lot of that. Another big change that came this week, which you're kind of in the middle of right now, or this year, which you're kind of in the middle of right now, was kind of a conscious switch over from doing produced YouTube videos, gear walkthroughs, gear reviews, that kind of stuff. And I switched over because I wanted it to be more direct and personal and live and raw and less produced, because that's kind of like, that goes along with kind of who I am. I like doing that as far as music goes, and I wanted to do it as far as my videos go too. Part of that is because I absolutely hate video editing, so I didn't want to sit there and edit videos and waste my day doing that. But also a big part of it is because of this. I love being able to look in the chat, see what somebody has as a question, respond to that question, and get right to it, rather than, analytics trying to choose what people like and what video length and what topic they want to talk about and try to second guess everybody and hope it works and spend hours in production. I just wanted to be able to communicate directly with you all. So that's why we're here, because it's a way for me to do videos and help and teach and discuss and try to help everybody through their process, without making it this produced product. I'm not a big product person. I'm more a process person. So I wanted this to be more sharing the process. We're going through this together. How could we chat? What questions do you have? All that kind of stuff. So that was a big change also in 2025, and that will be continuing through 2026. Although it will be a bit different. The scenery will change, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And because the scenery is changing for the same reason, the frequency may be a little different. So maybe 2 or 3 videos, or 2 or 3 live streams, one right after the other, and then nothing for a while, just because sometimes life requires that we do some other things. So anyway, that's what that will look like in 2026. The other thing that was big this year was my courses. I started them in 2024. I hit my 1-year anniversary in 2025, and right about at my 1-year anniversary, which was in July, I think, was the 1 year of when I started my courses. I hit my 100th student through the courses, and now we're at like 150, which is amazing. It's been so awesome to do these courses, to meet people from all over the world, to bring people together, because the courses are they're interactive in a way where you can kind of talk to the other people that are on the other side of the world, going through the same process you are of learning how to do this kind of hardware performance stuff and learning gear. Because this can be a really kind of solitary thing where you sit alone in your room with your gear, with your headphones on, and do your thing. So one of the beautiful things that came out of the courses in 2025 was bringing people together from all over and getting them the chance to kind of go through the process of learning and growing and doing all of this together. It also became really interesting when everybody started to get together. At Super Booth in May of this year, about 15 people that had taken the course all came to Berlin for Super Booth for the first time and hung out together, stayed in the same hotels or in the same area, went out to dinner, went out to the bars at night, went clubbing, went around Super Booth, checked out gear, and got to really hang out together, which was really amazing. And it was so fun for me to not only meet everybody, but to see everything, everyone kind of come together from all over the world in real life, rather than just in this kind of online virtual world. And for me, it was really the best of both worlds, because the beautiful thing about online and things like YouTube or online courses or social media or whatever is it gives us a chance to connect with people from all over the world that we would have never met any other way. It would have been impossible for us to meet these people. But then we don't want to just have, these kind of impersonal digital online relationships. So to be able to convert those from, spread around the world, meet people, and then gather all those people together in person and get everybody to hang out and have this kind of common interest. And it was people from all these different countries, all these different backgrounds, everything that shared this common interest in making music with hardware. And so to get everybody together, it was amazing. And so I had a great time. I think everybody else did. They're still in the group chat from the people who have taken the course, and everybody's starting to chat about going to Superbooth again this year, which I think is great. And I can't wait to see everybody again. And hopefully some of you all will be in there this time as well. So if you want to join in the course, do that. If you already have, come to Superbooth. It should be a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite events of the year. So it should be a good one. So that was a big thing. A big thing with the courses. Adding a second course was also a big deal this year. For the first year, I was just doing the live performance course, and then I added in the hybrid production course this year, which was great. And looking forward to extending that into next year. So if you're interested in any of the courses, like I said, there's a link in the description of the video. You can check that out and go see those. But the courses have videos like every online course, but then there's also during the month of the session, there's twice a week that we get together via Zoom. And we go through a different section each week, and I can, answer questions. We go more in depth into stuff. It's more in-depth lecture than it is, kind of in the basics in the videos. And then there's also an online group that's a private group that's only for people that have taken the course. And so that way you avoid getting this like kind of shitpost or Discord where people just rip on each other's gear choices and whatever. It becomes a cool place where everybody in there is trying to get better at this thing and trying to have more fun with this thing and trying to learn about this. So it's a very positive kind of connected environment. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. So definitely check it out if you can. Let's see. Do you have any other questions? Hey James, Christoph, what's going on? Group sessions in the course are the best. Thanks, man. I think they're the best part too. It was funny when I was designing the courses, I wanted it to be kind of the, no matter how you learn best, I wanted there to be something for you. And I know some people learn really well, self-paced, online, watching videos. So great, there's that part. Some people need that kind of human interaction, question and answer. So that's why we have the group sessions. The group sessions are great too because one person may ask a question that another person didn't think to ask, and so then they learn from the question of the other person as well. So it was really interesting. And then there's a one-on-one section of it if that's the way you learn best. There's individual feedback via email on your performances and your productions. So yeah, it's like there's all different ways to learn in this, and that was intentional because I wanted everybody to be able to get the most out of it that they possibly could. So anyway, thank you guys for taking the course, the ones that you did. Let's meet again in May in Berlin. I will be there for sure. It's the second weekend of May. I think it's like the 6th, 7th, 8th, something like that, is when Superbooth is in Berlin. So if you could make it, I definitely recommend it. If you're on this stream, it means you're into the things that would make going to Superbooth a lot of fun because it's kind of like the electronic music and gear nerd capital of the world for the weekend that it happens. And you get to actually get hands-on with all the new gear, try out everything, meet the people who invented the stuff, the people who make the stuff, and yeah, it's an amazing event. Plus, there's really great shows. Like just randomly, there's stages all throughout the forest where this is held. It's like in this outdoor park, and you'll be wandering through the forest, and all of a sudden you'll see like Surgeons performing, or Lady Starlight, or Stimming, or Maidon, or you just never know. Like you're just going to turn a corner and there's all of a sudden some amazing artist playing. So it's that plus the kind of hardware trade show side of it. And then once the show ends in the afternoon, everybody goes into Berlin and has a great time going out in Berlin at night. So it's amazing. So if you get the chance to go, you should go. Join the course, meet some people, connect over there. It'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, let's see. Hello, I'll be in the January course. Looking forward to meet you there. Awesome. Excited to have you there. I can't wait. Need a Pacific Northwest stop before you head to EU. Yeah, that would be good, but we better hurry up. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I didn't take your course, but it was amazing to see you performing live and meet with you here in Berlin. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Well, you should take the course. You would love it. It's awesome. You get a lot out of it. And I look forward to seeing you over there again soon. That would be awesome. On-prem, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Yo, Tonework is now legit. It is. They've as they said, I will be the first one to say they released it too soon, but I don't think they had any choice. They get themselves stuck into a timeline quite a bit in advance, and they'll think that they can get it done at a certain amount of time, and if something doesn't happen, sometimes they just have to put it out, and it sucks that that's the case, but it happens. But they were very clear, like if you got a Tonework, you got the little piece of paper in there that said watch for updates coming soon, because they knew full well that there's a lot of stuff that hadn't been connected yet. So now it's they added a bunch of new stuff. They just did a new update as well, which is it's very cool. And as I said when I did the videos on the Tonework, it's really cool because you can see the power of this new platform that they've developed for this new machine. It's a totally new platform for the software, and you can see that that's going to be able to be developed into other devices, right? Most companies do that. They'll tease things like, just look at like 1010 Music. If you look, all of the little synth boxes that they have, and then they put out the bento, and it's got a lot of the things from each of those synths in it. So you can see that Electron is like, they'll put things out in one product, and then that'll be part of the next product. So who knows? Hopefully someday we'll get a new flagship device from them, and it will be built on this platform. That would be pretty sweet. I would love to see that if it happened. So anyway, Jeff, what's going on? Will you be at Buchla this year again? Yes, I will be at Buchla the end of January in LA, the weekend of the 24th and 25th. Buchla and Friends is a fantastic event. I'm going to be out there doing some work with one of the manufacturers that I really am a huge fan of, which can't really say a lot about that, but we'll see you at Buchla and we can talk about it there. Jeff, by the way, for anybody who's curious, is the one who started a cool company a couple years ago. It's been in the development phase, but he just went live recently. It's called SynthSkins, and they make these magnetic layovers or overlays for all kinds of pieces of hardware gear. So Electron boxes, and I don't know what else you guys do, but everything from Electron boxes to Roland drum machines to I don't know, I think MPCs and to whatever, like all the boxes they do these overlays for, and they're having set ones that they're putting out, and then they can do custom ones, and they've got all kinds of stuff. So check out SynthSkins. It's cool. I've used a couple of their things before, and it's awesome. So awesome job, Jeff, getting that going. I'm super excited for you. Let's see. Are you going to perform at Superbooth? I wish. I would love to. I've been trying, let me say, I performed last year in the circus tent at Superbooth, which is not one of the official Superbooth events on one of their main stages. I would love to perform at Superbooth on one of their official stages. I've reached out to them a few times. Let's see if they say something, but as of right now, I don't know anything else. But let's hope, fingers crossed. That would be amazing. Are you moving to the UK? No, I am not moving to the UK. I am moving, but not to the UK. And we can talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, I would love to come to the UK, and I do every once in a while. But yeah. Let's see. Are there any Dutch in here? There probably are. There usually are a few Dutch folks in here, but yeah. Tell everybody where you're from so that we can see how far this reaches around the world here. So anyway, yes, Jeff bought my Percons, so he does overlays for Percons as well. He has the best business for somebody who wants to have a really good excuse to buy a whole bunch of gear. She's like, yeah, I gotta have one of those in order to make the overlay for it. So I need all the gear. Very smart. I see you. I see what you're doing there. Greetings from Athens, Greece. Awesome. I haven't been to Greece in forever. It was a long time. I never made it to Athens either. I was on a ship for a summer, and we went to Delphi, we went to Zant or Zakynthos, I think it was called. We went to Corfu, went to a whole bunch of places, but I never went to Athens, unfortunately. I would love to. Let's see, where else? Cripes, man, congrats on the release. Thanks, man. Grab it, help me out, help me get this thing. I was really surprised that it debuted at number 18 in the top 100. And then I was even more surprised when this morning I woke up and it was at number 10. And it's purely based on people who grab that on Beatport. That's what that chart is based on. So if you can, jump on Beatport and grab it today to help us boost up overnight tonight. That would be amazing. There's a link in the description of the video to check it out. And there's a bunch of tracks on there. Everything from the first one's called Awaken, and it's an opening track that you would use to maybe open a DJ set. So it's kind of builds up very ambient, and then it kind of builds into something that can be percussive later on. And then there's everything from kind of hypnotic techno stuff to some more driving stuff. There's kind of an acidy track on there. So a whole bunch of different things that all came from that one Rinse FM live set that I did. So definitely check it out and grab a copy if you can. It would be hugely helpful to me if you could do that. I would appreciate it. So yes, thank you in advance. All right, where are we at? You should be main stage. I would love to be main stage, but let's see. We'll see. We'll see if we can make that happen. It would be an amazing thing. Come to Cobham. I don't know where that is, but I would love to. Let's make it happen. Get a promoter to bring me there. Book me and I will be there anytime. Greetings from Istanbul, living in Berlin. Yes, my friend who came to my last show that I had there the week before Super Booth. I had a live stream that I did there, and he came to the show. Thank you so much. All right, close to Amsterdam. Beautiful. I was just there. Love that city. Love that country. Beautiful place. Heilbronn, is that how you say it, Chris? Heilbronn, Germany. Awesome. You got a TR-1000 yesterday. Cool. So you're gonna do me a stealthy matte black overlay for my TR-1000. That'd be pretty sweet. I love that. Let's see what else. Hamburg, more Germany. Awesome. We maybe also release on Bandcamp. Yes, it comes out on Bandcamp January 15th. Right now it's a Beatport exclusive, and that's intentional. That's actually my preference, is because on Beatport, that allows, if you sell through Beatport and your sales that are on Beatport allows you to get onto the Beatport charts. And those charts are things that promoters look at to see who's charting. People, DJs are looking for new music on there. So it gets you a lot more exposure. On Bandcamp, it's cool and it's fine. You get the money if it's on Bandcamp, but I'm actually not, that's my big thing, is not to try to make a bunch of money selling my music. I want the music to reach as far as it can, and it reaches way farther on a platform like Beatport than it does on Bandcamp. Bandcamp only reaches as far as your promotions reach, where Beatport, there's people all over the world that are checking those charts all the time, so it reaches much, much farther. So yeah, if you could pick up a copy on Beatport, that would help me a lot. Bandcamp is great as well, because obviously we make a little money off of it, but that's not the priority here. The priority is to get music out to the most people possible, not necessarily to to make money, because there's not a lot of money to be made in music anyway. So I'm not gonna hold out any false hopes for that. So anyway, let's see. You inspired me on retaking my love for production and live playing. Just built my modular rig and I'm playing my first live on New Year's Eve. That is awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. That's the whole reason I started this channel in the first place, was that I was doing this, I was loving it, and there were some things that I was struggling with, having difficulty trying to, find information about online or get help figuring things out. So I figured everybody else was doing that too. So I said, okay, well, as I learn things, I'm gonna start to put it out here. And then I started getting asked a lot of questions about the travel and performance and production and all that. So that's when it turned into more kind of a behind the scenes industry thing, because not a lot of people talk about that. And so if this inspired you to do that, I'm so happy, because that is exactly why I did this. It's exactly why I do this, is because I want other people to see how fun this is, to get inspired by it, so that they can have fun doing this thing that I have so much fun with. So that's awesome. That makes me very happy that you're diving back into it. Let's see here. Scoop the album for reference tracks. Awesome. But it crushes out of the gate regardless. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad you got it. I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, awesome. Glad you enjoyed that. Whatever you want. Awesome. That's it. I want a matte black, super stealthy with no graphics TR-1000 cover. I think it would look super awesome. Or maybe just like simple, well, let's talk about this. Hit me up offline. I actually have an idea for a cool TR-1000 overlay. We should talk about that. Anyway, let's see, what else? Hi from Brighton, UK. Hello to Brighton, UK. I would love to get to Brighton too. I've never been to Brighton. That would be very cool. Who knows, maybe soon. Let's see, on the verge of breaking out of the box after a long time. Sweet. I mean, gear's a fun thing. The basics are the same. Every module in a modular is just like it's just like a plug-in in your DAW. The difference is you get to actually have the fun of interacting with it and touching it, instead of interacting with only your mouse like you do all day long at work. And so it's, for me, the hardware side of it is, it's not that it's any better. On the contrary, I actually think that you can get much better quality and much better sound out of a DAW than you can out of hardware. Controversial, I know, but hardware is just way more fun. And at the end of the day, at least for me, that's what this is all about. It's all about having it be fun. So why not use the most fun version if you can? So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Where are you planning on moving to in Europe? Portugal, Germany? Well, for right now, I'll break the big news. We've had our house for sale for a long time. It's under contract now, so fingers crossed it closes. Let's have some positive vibes that we get our closing done mid-February when it's supposed to. And then, we'll have some travel. The idea is to, we're gonna spend some time in Mexico with family, and some time in Europe, probably Spain. And then by being in Spain, it makes it a lot easier to be everywhere else. It's a lot easier to travel all over Europe from Spain than it is to travel all over Europe from the US, from the middle of the US. It's much easier to already be there. So that's the plan. So Mexico for now, and then Spain, and then that means all over Europe after that. So, but yeah. The idea is to spend some time traveling and working from all over the world and enjoying that a bit more. So that is the plan. So let's see here. Sorry, my thing scrolled down here. So inspiring. Thank you. That's the thing. That's what I wanted to do. Brighton is awesome. I've heard Brighton is cool. How much time do you spend designing each element in a patch to perform live? That's a funny question because how much time do I spend designing elements to perform live? Zero. So what I do is all of the stuff that I'm doing. So I'll design my patch is really just control going into the modules, audio coming out of the modules, and that's really it. Other than if you consider designing the patch, picking the different modules to use, deciding how they're gonna be laid out, and which hardware boxes to use and things like that. That is a constant thing, never ending. But as far as like specific things to play live, I don't. Everything that I do live is all completely improvised. So I don't even save patterns. You can't even see here. Yeah, let me see here, 1 sec. Yeah, if you look, let's change to my view so you can see this. This is my, the pattern view in my sequencer, and there's nothing in there. So I don't save any patterns. I don't save any presets. Everything is done live in the moment. The only exception would be I do keep some things in the black box, some samples, which are like loops of like a vocal or an atmospheric sound or things like that. But as far as like designing elements and sequences and patches and presets, I don't do any of that stuff. So funny answer, but the answer when asked how much time, the amount of time is 0 minutes. Yeah, so let's see, I have gear, but I want less computer and more jamming. Yeah, that's really what it's about, is like playing on gear versus doing stuff in a DAW is, like I said, you're gonna get much better sound if the quality of the output sound is your goal. You're gonna get much better sound out of a DAW than you're gonna get out of hardware. But hardware is just so much more fun and inspiring to play and use and touch and interact with and do all that stuff, that I wouldn't have it any other way, because that for me is why I do this. I do this to have fun, not to have a specific output. So yeah, so I'm right there with you. Torso T1 or Oxy? Well, I am an Oxy guy, but the T1's great as well. I would say it depends on the kind of music that you want to do. If you're really into ambient generative stuff, or generative stuff in general, the T1's great, and it does a lot of really interesting generative things, but so does the Oxy. The Oxy is I don't know, it's a little bit hard to describe. It kind of does the things that the Torso does, but it also does other things. It has different types of sequencers. It has a lot more sequencers. It's a little bit more on par with like the Hapex, if you've seen that one, as far as having more lanes, more input output, more types of sequencing. But the Torso is great for something that's small, it's compact, and it really does a really good job of the specific things that it does. So yeah, they're both great, but I'm definitely an Oxy fan, which is why I use the Oxy. I thought making Go Alive from scratch was impossible. Thanks to your advice to set the gear for this purpose, I'm now able to do it. Awesome, that's great. Yeah, you can make whatever you want to make. You just gotta go at it with some purpose, and yeah, makes it happen. With a bit more practice, I would be ready to do it in front of people. That's the way to be. Spain is the place. I agree. Barcelona, absolutely. London's great too. I would be excited to go hang out there as well. Improvisation is the shit. I agree. I'm following your way, totally. Live music is the only thing we have to enjoy to survive in this crazy world. Yeah, and I think for me, I was talking to somebody about this earlier. Not only is it a way to survive, it's a way to keep the humanity in art, because so much art is now able to be computer generated, being able to do something in an improvised live way means that it's being inspired right then. It's coming out of your mind and your heart right then in the moment. And that's not something that can be replicated by a computer. So for me, I think that's where the beauty is. The beauty is in being able to do stuff live, improvised, so that the people who are listening are getting a kind of a window into your soul at that moment, because you're pouring it out through the speakers, right? And they're hearing what you're thinking in that moment. And for me, that's such a magical thing. I really love that about the improvised live world. So yeah, for me, I wouldn't have it any other way. You know, there's definitely ways to make it sound way better and make it way more perfect, but that's not, for me, that's less artistic. You know, like if you're painting by numbers, everything will be exactly perfect and replicated exactly the same each time. But if you're freeform painting, it's going to be an expression of the artist and not just a display of technical skills. That's the way I feel about it. But nothing against people who do it the other way. But for me, I do this as a personal expression thing. So I love that side of it. Let's see. Drummer for 20 years. Awesome. I was a guitar player and a drummer too. What's your favorite echo effects? I don't know. I mean, I'm a big fan of the what do you call it? The Space Echo emulators. There's a few that are out there that are really cool. There's a Boss one that sounds really good. I also like the Eventide stuff. Huge fan of Eventide. The Eventide Space is great. Yeah, the El Capistan is really good as well. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones out there. What was the other one? I saw one recently that I really liked. I'll think of it, but you caught me off guard. I don't normally get pedal questions, but yeah, let me think about that one for a second. Hardware's my way too. Also, you can't sell plugins. I mean, you could, I guess. Brighton is definitely my favorite city in the UK. Home of Fatboy Slim, John Double O Fleming, and many others. John Double O Fleming just played here in Denver like 2 weeks ago, actually. But yeah, I would love to see Brighton. It seems like a cool city. Said the Hapex back, preferred the Torso, but considering the Oxy. Yeah, I mean, the Hapex, the reason I have the Oxy instead of the Hapex is the Oxy is battery powered. It's much smaller and more portable, and has most of the capabilities of the Hapex. Has a lot more I/O to be able to connect to different things without having to use like MIDI to CV conversion. And yeah, it does most of what the Hapex does. It doesn't have the 2 screens, which obviously is a cool thing for the Hapex, but you know, that's part of what saves space. The Oxy is not having 2 screens, but yeah, Hapex is great. The Oxy is great. The Torso is great. Like any of those kind of flagship sequencers are awesome. And I always recommend to people to go the hardware sequencer route, just because you get really good at one workflow, and then you can mix and match any synth or modular or groovebox or drum machine, and you don't have to relearn a different workflow every single time you get a new machine. You've got your workflow that you get really proficient at, and then you can just connect it. So it's very very handy that way. Where can we get your new release? There is a link in the description of this video to Beatport, and that is where it is available right now. It's a Beatport exclusive, which helps me out because it pushes all the sales towards that one platform, which bases their charts off of sales on that platform. So it's definitely a plus if you could pick it up there. So yeah, click the link there. You can get it in all different formats. So if you want it MP3 or WAV or FLAC or AIFF or whatever, like you can get it in any of those formats from there. So yeah, just click the link and pick it up from there. where are we at? As an artist, I said that. That's why your YouTube channel is so important. I appreciate that. Thank you. Instant and from the heart, totally. Do you ever get into using matricio mode on the Oxy? A little bit. It's a little, for me, it's a little bit hard to keep track of live. And so, you know, my mind, and this is kind of years of doing this kind of one way, you got to set in your ways. I have like 909 brain. So my head works like 16 steps left to right, step sequencing. And so, you know, with the Oxy, I've got that, multiple rows of that in a multi-sequencer, or if it's like a mono, it's more like a piano roll, but it's still like 16 steps left to right. It's like the TR-1000. It's like all of these are like that, like the Electron boxes, very much like that as well. So that's kind of the way my head works. I have messed around with all the different sequencers in the Oxy, but I always find myself coming back to the multis, the monos, the poly. Every once in a while I'll use the chord for something. But yeah, I don't use those other modes much unless I'm doing something really different. Like if I want to do something like generative ambient, I would do that, and I love to experiment with those for that, because there's not as much kind of like time pressure to, you know, change things up and to keep track of exactly where you are, so I can just kind of let them go, and that's where those really shine and where they're the most fun. So yeah. Let's see, what do you do when you practice live performance and you end up making a great track? Do you drop everything and start working on it to finish it? For now, I just saved some clips to use in the future. It kind of depends. So lately, one of the things that I've been doing, and I can kind of show this, sort of change views here. Right here next to the modular, I have the 1010 Blue Box, and I'm not using it as a mixer, which obviously it can be a mixer, but I use the BoardBrain Exelon stuff for mixers in my performances and all that. But the 1010 Blue Box is set up to be a multi-track recorder. So basically connected to the Exelon is this module, which you can see here on the end that has all these cables going into it, which is the I/O module. This is connected via ribbon cables from the back. And right now this is set up with post-fader outputs from every channel of the mixer and the two expanders that I have. And those are going in to the Blue Box and multi-track recording. So if you see the way that it's set up right here, everything's kind of set up and it's armed, so I can just hit record and then just start playing. And I have this set up like this because it's really small and portable, and I can take this with me when I travel and do performances. So recently, I've been taking this with me and just setting it up. When I play a gig, I can just hit record at the beginning. And not only do I record the master out also into a stereo channel here, so I've got my master recording of the event, but I've also got everything multi-tracked. So if I do want to go back in and I generally don't go back in and rearrange or like redo those parts very much. But what I will generally go back in and do is I'll go back in and take those pieces out, take out the individual samples that I took, or like long recordings, and I can chop those up into little bits, into little samples, and then I can reload those into the black box for playing, you know, on another set or recording something. I can save those. I have folders in my DAW. I guess I should say, when I take out the SD card from the Blue Box, I have a template set up in Ableton that has all of the multi-tracks from here already labeled with what the channel is. So I just take those Blue Box files, I highlight them all, I drag them into Ableton, and then they drop into their correct tracks. And so I've already got them in there labeled. So then what I can do is I can go in and I can take any one or more of those individual tracks and I can say, oh, I like this piece, I want to make that into a track or whatever, and I'll take those out, and I have folders in Ableton of track ideas, where if I find some part, some individual section that I really like, I'll just clip that out and save it into a folder. And then when I want to make something later in the box, I have kind of this endless supply of sample packs that I've made myself from my own live performances. So I'm not taking someone else's samples and making it into a track, which I do sometimes. Like, I love to use the Audio Tent samples. Those guys make amazing sample packs. But more for like the important elements, the hooks, the bass lines, the atmospheres. I love to make those. And so because of that, I can take those, I can clip those out of those performance stems and just save those into files. So I've got them for song ideas for later. So that's what I've been doing a lot lately. Let's see what else. Some boutique companies have to collaborate with you to release some unique piece of gear. That would be cool. Tell those companies that we need to collaborate to make some gear. Let's see. You mentioned 20 ms on the TR-1000, but I found that 40 was the case in my setup. Yeah, it's different for everybody. It's going to depend on what gear you're using, how you have it set up, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. But they set up that MIDI thing. It was actually really smart the way they did it, because instead of trying to come up with one all-purpose fix for every piece of connection, they said, okay, we're going to give you a way to adjust for whatever type of gear you have. So ever since I made that change to the MIDI latency in the TR-1000, never had a problem with it since. So it's pretty amazing. I love that they did it that way. So anyway, do you get nervous before performing live, especially when you see acts like Surgeon next on the bill? I get nervous, yes, all the time before I perform live, not because of somebody else that's playing generally, because I guess this isn't 100% of the time, but I am mostly, and I try to be that person who doesn't compare themselves to other people, but compares themselves to themselves. And so I'm constantly comparing to my own development, and am I better than I was yesterday or last month or the last time I played live? Am I constantly improving? That's what I kind of compare to. I get more excited when I play big shows with big artists because I want to see them play, because I love learning from them. And so, it's why, going to events like Store, for example, you get to see the best of the best do this thing that I love to do. And you just learn every single time you see them do stuff. So yeah, that stuff's awesome. But yes, I do get nervous, especially because of the improvisational side. There's this kind of nervous excitement, energy that happens before a show because I don't have anything prepared. So it could go really badly. And so there's always this doubt that pops into my head right before I play, which goes away pretty fast once I get started and kind of get into the flow of things. But there's always that moment beforehand that, like they say, when you go skydiving, the worst part is the flight up. And it's like that, like the anticipation of playing is generally much worse than the actual moment of playing as far as the stress goes. So yes, it does happen, but not so much while I play, and definitely not because of who else is playing. It is, I guess I should say, it can be nerve-wracking too, knowing that people that know what they're doing are watching you perform, because like if people don't know what's going on, you can get away with a lot more. The other people will be like, ooh, I heard what you did there. I saw that, and so it's, obviously you want them to see what you do and have a good impression of it. But I don't think that stresses me out more than other things. All right, let's see. What do you think about Waldorf Protein? I haven't actually messed with it at all, so I don't have an opinion of it yet. Anytime a really good synth company comes out with something that's more accessible to more people, especially somebody like Waldorf where their gear can be really expensive, coming out with something that's a bit more affordable so that more people can have access to their sound, I think that's great. I love when companies do that. So we'll see. I haven't played with yet, but hopefully I'll get a chance to, maybe at Buchla. Maybe they'll be there, I'm not sure. Let's see. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have known about it. About what? I don't know what that is, but okay. Protein or quadranted swarm? I don't know enough about the protein. The quadranted swarm is one of my favorite synths. So I would say absolutely, the quadranted swarm is amazing. It can be a little difficult to control, but it's the sound is so good. I love it. It's an amazing synth. So not knowing the other one, I would say the swarm. So yeah. Thanks. Why you dropped the swarm, by the way? So, really just space. It takes up a lot of space in a case for a one single mono voice. So it's just hard. My case really has to be as efficient as it can be for travel. And so, I can fit 3 or 4 voices into the space that was in. So I just couldn't do it anymore. What else? TR1000. The TR1000 MIDI update. Yeah, that's glad I could help. Do you find yourself making familiar patterns on the sequencer, and how do you break away from that? Yes and no. I don't. One of the things that I've kind of developed over time is that less is more when you're talking about individual sequences. I would rather have individual sequences do fewer things and interact with other sequences that are doing few things in interesting ways, rather than having one sequence that's trying to do it all. Because in that case, you end up doing a lot of things that are similar and the same, and it can get really repetitive. But when you have different voices on different sequences, each doing sparse things, like so it doesn't get too cluttered up, and you can put those maybe on different pattern lengths, so you've got some kind of polymeter going. It's a great way to keep things interesting, and you kind of inspire yourself while you're playing, because you're kind of listening going, oh, I wouldn't have thought about it that way. And then the other thing too is specifically with modular, the way sounds interact with different types of modulation. So you can be moving things, you can be changing things, and you're making it sound like you're changing the sequence when you're not actually changing the sequence. So that, I guess, for me is the best way to avoid having it be always the same thing. Is I try not to lean too much into any one sequence. I try to keep things as simple as possible, and then have them interact with other things that are being as simple as possible. So you're not having everything be carried by one voice. So I guess that would be my advice on that. Have you done a live collab, like playing live with other people? Yes. I actually just did one at ADE, where I played with a group of 5, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we're 7 actually artists all together, collabing, playing on one thing. It was really fun. It was, I was playing Oscar from Underdog, Dave Meck, Jungle of Wires, Vamp Acid, Kimbo Knot. It was really, really cool. It was a great, interesting group of people, and all different styles of music. And so, yeah, that was a ton of fun to be able to kind of live collaborate like that. Trying to put together something like that for here in Denver before I move with a group of people here locally to do something kind of store style, which would be a ton of fun. But we'll see if we can make that happen. Otherwise, we'll have to do something somewhere else. That would be cool too. So anyway, let's see what else. Just got the Redshift 6. Awesome. Loving it for trance. Yeah, that thing sounded cool. The first time I heard that was like, I know if it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago at Super Booth, they had like a really early prototype and everybody was gathered around because it sounded so good. And they were like, whoa, what's that thing? Like, that sounds amazing. And it took a while for them to get it kind of where it was finally ready to come out. But yeah, it sounded awesome. So that was very cool. Let's see, ever tried Moog Labyrinth? I have. It's a great synth. One of the things I love, basically what I was just talking about having sequences interact with one another. That's one of the cool things about the Labyrinth is you've got different sequencers that can be sequencing in the same synth so they can interact with one another. And so you can have these short little 8-step sequences like it has, but make them really interact well with each other and come up with some really cool evolving stuff. So Labyrinth is probably my favorite, I think, of all of those, that format. I don't know what they call that Moog format that they have, like the Mother 32 and DFAM. DFAM is really cool as well. But like if I was going to get two, it would probably be DFAM and Labyrinth. I think those are the ones that lend themselves the most to the style that I like to make. But yeah. Let's see, count me in. Yeah, would love to see you there. That would be fun. Well, I'll let you know when it's going to be, so we can. It's going to be in afters, so I'll let you know. We can. I think we've got it all. We have it mostly finalized, but once we get set date and time, I will for sure let you know because it's going to be. It's going to be a super fun one. We've had this in the work for a long time, so. Anyway, as a generative nasty synth, yeah, it sounds great actually, and it not only does it sound great because of the synth, which is like the normal Moog thing, it sounds great because of the sequencer, which is really cool. I mean, I love to see when companies come up with things that are interesting like that make make sequencing interesting. Because I'm a horrible keyboard player, but I always like to think of playing sequencers like my keyboard. That's my keyboard, that's my instrument. You know, it's like I was always inspired by Jeff Mills. Like playing sequencers live is very cool. And with things like the Labyrinth or like the Oxy One or like TR-1000 is amazing for this as well. Being able to play stuff on a sequencer live is a ton of fun. So. Yeah, and that was, again, definitely go check out the video of my Rinse FM set on the YouTube channel, because you'll get to see me doing live the production of my release that came out a couple days ago. Which, one more shameless plug for anybody that joined in late. If you haven't gotten the, actually, let me check here. If you haven't gotten the release yet, it's called Obscura. It's out exclusively on Beatport right now. There's a link in the description of the video where you can go and pick up the release there. It's a 6-track. There's a lot of variety in it. There's an opening kind of, ambient building opening track. There's an acidy track. There's some stuff that's more hypnotic, some stuff that's more driving, some stuff that's more tribal. So definitely check it out and pick up a copy if you can. It definitely helps. We're trying to get it to move up the charts. It premiered on day one at number 18 on the Beatport Top 100 Techno releases. And then day 2, which was today, I woke up this morning and it had jumped up to number 10. So if you haven't gotten a copy of it yet, get it now so we can keep it moving up. That would be an amazing way to finish out the year and start 2025. So go ahead and pick up the Obscura release now. Let's see. For the live, let's see. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I hope to see you in Berlin soon too. I'll definitely be there in May for Super Booth and maybe a little bit after. So yeah, I hope to see you. There. That would be awesome. Let's see. Any other questions you guys have? Definitely chuck them in the chat. I'm happy to answer whatever. This is kind of the ask me anything. So we can talk about gear or travel or the meaning of life or food or techno or anything you want. Put it in there. Now's your chance. Herbie, what's going on? Good to see you in here. Catching my stream from Berlin. Nice. What are you doing in Berlin? You there on vacation? You hanging out? You gonna go see Nadia play at Renata? That would be cool. Awesome, but glad to have you on. It's, what time is it? It's like almost 1 a.m. there. Very cool. What are your thoughts on the Udo Super 6? I think it sounds amazing. I love it. I think it's a beautiful sounding synth. It is not a synth for me because, as I just mentioned a few minutes ago, I am a horrific keyboard player. And so synths like that are totally wasted on me. Like, I can plunk around and I can play chords and I can do stuff like that, but you know, those synths like that are really, really great for people who are good keyboard players. And I am absolutely not a good keyboard player. So anyway, Bohm. Yes, Bohm is one of my favorite pieces of gear of this year. That is one of the most amazing pieces of kit that has come out in a long time. I absolutely love it. What's my home recording setup? So it's changed a bit over time. So I have I have a main mixer, which is the Tascam Model 24, and I kind of run everything in the studio into that. That acts as my audio interface, and that goes into Ableton. I have Ableton templates that are set up to multi-track everything that goes into there. With Modular, it's a little bit different. I multi-track out from the as I was showing before, I've got the Exelon mixer that goes to the I/O output modules here, and these are all multi-tracked now going out into the 1010 Blue Box as a multi-track recorder. These can, instead of going into the Blue Box, these can go directly into an audio interface if you want, which is what I was doing for a while. I had a Tascam Celestonic 20x20, and I was just going directly from these into that, and then using that as the audio interface into Ableton. So it's another way to do it, but my recording stuff is Ableton. That's where I record into, and I can multi-track in, I can, you know, single track in, I can get stereo out from my main, from my gear here to go into that, or I can play the whole setup. When I had multiple synths in here, much more than I have now because I've sold a bunch of them because we're moving. When I had a bunch of synths here, I could play them all kind of as one big live rig and then multi-track that into Ableton. But yeah, that's a lot of what we talk about in the production course, is kind of how to use live gear with a DAW. You know, I'm not a DAW-less only hipster. I'm absolutely think you should use a DAW for what it's really great for, and absolutely use hardware for what it's really great for, and combine those two together to get the best of both worlds, to make, you know, to have the most fun making the best music. So that's what I'm all about. Let's see, what are my thoughts on what? I skipped something. Oh, on the Bohm. I think it's amazing. It's the best kick drum ever. It sounds amazing. I was so absolutely shocked how good it sounds when it came out. What's really cool about it is that it's a whole kick drum system, and it's a very modern sounding kick drum, which I think is very cool. It's, if you're looking for a whole kick drum system, so you want like sidechain and rumbles and, you know, different algorithms and all that kind of stuff, it's amazing. So yeah, it's very, very, very cool. I love that one. Where are we at? Let's see. How do you balance family, work, and techno? Well, I'm fortunate in that respect that my kids are older, and like out of the house, have their own places and stuff, so I don't have to deal with that side of it. My wife is very into music as well. I have a job that I'm a consultant for restaurant companies, and I work completely remote. And so I can work from my studio and I can set my schedule. So that definitely helps a lot. But yeah, it was, I have to say that it's something that I have thought a lot about and put a lot of time into, is the idea that you got to kind of figure out the way you want your life to be and then build it that way. So you can't just have this and want it to be another way. So I've said, okay, I want to have the time to be able to do these things. So I need to be able to have a job that allows me to have a flexible schedule. So maybe I could have a different job that would be more stable, or maybe where I could make more money, but it wouldn't afford me the time and the flexibility to be able to do what I do. So it's important to kind of make decisions based on what the priorities are, because it doesn't always line up that way, for sure. Yeah, and it's great because, like, you know, traveling with families is awesome. So going to events, when I was just in Berlin the week before ADE and then Amsterdam for ADE, one of my sons came with me, and so it was fun to have him there. Came to my shows, came to my chats that I had. It was great. We went out a bunch, and I took him to some fun events, and so that was cool too. But yeah, I guess the way to balance it is to mix it all together. That's the best way to do it, I guess. Have you tried the SH4D? I have. It was fine. It wasn't anything that just like really totally blew me away, but it was cool. It was, I liked it, but it wasn't anything that I kind of really need for my setup. So I have, I already have those kind of sounds in the modular, so I don't really need them in hardware boxes. Yeah, for me, there's always this kind of trade-off between, does it do something that I can't already do with the other stuff that I have? And if it does something the same, I kind of pick like which is the one that either sounds better, is smaller, is more fun to play, more interactive, lends itself to improvisation, and that kind of helps me decide which individual pieces of gear to get, and which to keep and which to resell once I get them. So, yeah. Let's see. After taking the class, my sound has changed so much since going hard into Eurorack as a performance mixer with more controllable effects. I'm right there with you. Performance mixers are kind of, I don't want to say underrated, but they're under discussed as their importance in live performance. Whenever people ask me, what's your favorite or your most important piece of gear? For me, the two most important things in my live setup are my sequencer and my mixer, because everything else is really interchangeable. I can use any voices, any synths. I can use modular, hardware, groove boxes. It doesn't matter. But for me to have the ability to mix and to play a mixer properly, and to have a proper performance mixer that is playable, right? With faders, and that you could actually control and move multiple things at one time in a performance. Whereas like with knobs, you can only move one or maybe two at a time if you use both hands, but then you're not on your gear and your synths and whatever. So being able to use multiple fingers to use multiple faders, that's key. Having send effects is key. Being able to control your output of individual tracks is really important. So the mixer for me, and maybe this is just kind of from my DJ background, but a mixer itself is for me probably the most important piece of your live performance. And I think that people just don't talk about that enough. Everybody's like, they're gonna get all of this amazing gear, and then they're gonna just run it through, a VCA or like a little 6 HP mixer, and they'll just like kind of set it and forget it. And for me, I could never do that. That's not the way I perform. For me, the mixer itself is where the subtlety and the expression and everything that you're trying to get out artistically, it's where it all kind of comes from and comes together. You can do that with changing out, synth voices and modulating things and all of that stuff in sound design, but ultimately where you get the nuance and the subtlety of it is all in your mixer. And so the mixer has to be, for me personally, it has subtlety, like for example, with this mixer, one of the cool things that I have set up here, that I have set up here is anything set up like this. Yeah, one of the things that I have set up here is that everything that's in here goes through the mixer, and my first effect send is a pre-fader send. So like if I go through and I put something here like on an individual element, I can start to send things to the effects without even bringing up the fader. So all of this kind of background atmosphere that you hear, this is with none of the faders up, because that's all pre-fader going through effects. And that I couldn't do with kind of just your normal kind of VCA. You would have to have each one of those paths set up, or you could have it go through like a matrix mixer to go to different effects or whatever. But when you have a good mixer, you can run those through effects. And so you can use these pre-fader effects to be able to get these things out there to create interesting atmospheres, right? So it's very much, the mixer itself is very much, for me, the most important part of the performance setup. So I appreciate that, Tyler, that helped, because I totally agree. I couldn't agree with you more about the mixer itself. Amazing how much difference good effects make. I totally agree with that too. Desktop version. I don't know what that was. Clarify what desktop version is. I don't know exactly what you meant there. I'm happy to answer, but I don't know what it was. Let's see, have a Tascam Model 12. Yeah, Model 12 is cool because it can be a controller for Ableton as well. I have the Model 24, which can't be, but it has a lot more inputs because I had a bigger studio at one point. Hipster, yep, that's me. Such a minefield. I record into Ableton via SSL Big 6. Big 6 is a great mixer, via a lot of other 500 series. Yeah, 500 series is cool. The reason I never really got into that is because I like the interactivity of playing with hardware, but the 500 series stuff, I don't really interact with that as much while I'm playing. So I'll just use, for that kind of stuff, I'll just use plugins for processing of stuff in there. But yeah, it's that stuff is fun as well. I'm gonna put my Labyrinth and get a Bohm. Yeah, Bohm is where it's at. How's that $500 lifetime Discord group membership going? That's an interesting idea, but yeah, I should do something like that. Let's see here. Gotta scroll. Thanks for all the questions, by the way. I really appreciate it. Now I'm scrolling through them though. Let's see, Swarm. Berlin is not the best place for making money. Well, good thing that I will be working remote. So I get to just live in places, but I won't be living in Berlin. So, but it is the most unique city. I agree. I love Berlin. I love visiting Berlin. I don't know that I could live in Berlin, but I love visiting there. It's one of my favorite cities to spend time in. So thank God your wife likes gear. Yes, it is a good thing. One thing that we talked about a long time ago, and it has definitely played out, is that with most hardware, it's kind of like a savings account that you get to play with, because when you resell it, you don't lose much. If you're getting good quality gear in the first place and you shop smart in the first place, you can end up getting a lot of your money back out of stuff. And so you get a lot of use out of it, but if you need to sell it, you can always sell it. So it's a good thing. Don't ask me to do this or anything, but I just want to shout out live improv class. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It was deeply worth it and changed my approach. Thanks so much. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Beware though, I ended up catching the Eurorack bug. That's happened to a few people that have taken my course, actually. It's not required by any means, but people end up going that way for whatever reason. Try out the Allen & Heath DB4. Allen Heath DB4 is a great mixer, but it is only 4 tracks and it is the size of an entire Eurorack case. And that's why I went with the mixer solution that I have rather than a DJ mixer. Is the Exelon mixer is an all analog, all stereo mixer. The main one is 6 tracks. I've got 2, 3 channel expanders. So I've got 12 channels just in my case of stereo, all analog, multiple send mixing in the case here. So that's why for me, like, yeah, the DJ mixers are fine and they're great for DJs for sure. But for live performance, and especially if you have to travel to perform and you're not just like jamming for yourself in a home studio, it is a nightmare to have to travel around with a DJ mixer. It is a nightmare. So to be able to have something small enough that's portable that you can travel with it is awesome, which is why I love the Exelon. There's other mixers that are great for performance, like to have in your Eurorack. The WMD performance mixer, the MK2, is really good as well. And then there's other ones, if you don't mind the analog versus digital thing. You can go with like the Bartender is pretty cool as well, but have something that you can actually play, that you have effect sends, that you've got faders, that has enough space, that's spread out enough so that it's playable. You know, that's not like those things you have to use tweezers to deal with the little knobs and stuff like that. That can get really, really frustrating. So, but having a mixer that is, it just becomes an extension of you when you play. If you've got a really good mixer. So I can't emphasize enough the importance of a mixer in your live performance setup. Super, super important. But yeah, the DB4 is great. Just like the Zones, just like the Pioneer V10. Like there's a lot of great DJ mixers out there, but they're all just way too big. Yeah. The Eurorack has you now. Yes, it does. Sequencers, mixers, and effects are the most important. I agree. I think that's kind of where it's at. I mean, obviously you have to have some voices that you can play, that you can interact with, that lend themselves to live performance, especially if you're improvising. But it's not so much the thing, it's what you do with the thing. And what you do with the thing comes from the sequencer, the mixer, and the effects. Way more than the actual voice itself. It's good to have like good raw material to start with, for sure, don't get me wrong. But you can take something very basic and make it sound amazing if you've got it going through the right process of control from the sequencer and then audio with the mixer and the effects. Totally agree. And the sound system, sure, that is very important. Any new spoilers you can share about the hardware project you're involved in? Not yet, but soon. Soon all will be revealed. I don't know if you guys saw the funny Timothée Chalamet interview where they asked him if he was that masked up rapper, and he just said all will be revealed, which I thought was really, really funny. But yes, all will be revealed soon. Let's see. Picked up the pizza today. Awesome. That's a great one. That is a great one. Yeah, it's pizza is one of those voices that I recommend to everybody because great diversity of sound. Once you get the hang of it, it's you can really control it really well and kind of dial it in really fast, and it's small. Most voices that do what it does are much, much bigger and take up a lot more room in your case. So I love the pizza. I'm looking forward to, I'm trying to get a WMD Javelin. So I'm gonna go through the pizza through the Javelin into the Carbon so I can get a little bit more flexibility out of the envelope. with it. We'll see how that one works, but yes. Love effects buses. I agree. Those can be super, super handy. Where are we at? The mixing problem, I make the volume of the patch when designing it so that the fader on the mixer is at max. Then during playing live, if I want it louder, I have to dive into menus. Yeah, so where are you doing that? So it sounds like you have a digital mixer because you have to dive into menus if you want to change that, but yes. Have you managed to incorporate your T1000 into your live setup? Yes, it is. I mean, it is here in the studio. I haven't had to travel with it yet, although when I did go to the studio the other day to work with those friends of mine, I brought it with me, and it's really fun. Like it's one of those things where, like I was mentioning before, I can do pretty much everything that the T1000 can do in my modular case. So I don't really need it. But it just sounds so good, and it's so much fun to play. Like, it's really fun to interact with and to improvise on and to play live, way more than I anticipated. So to be able to figure out a way to travel with it is going to be key, because it's really, really big and heavy. And I want to travel with it just because it's so much fun to play. So I'm going to try to. No guarantees, but I'm going to try to. Tried to avoid the pizza for a bit and realized there's a reason people, yeah, it's amazing. Having sends that can be pre or post fader is a game changer for me, totally. Yeah, that's one of the things I love on the Exelon is at least the FX1 can be pre or post. You just have to set it up on the back of the module before you put it down. But yeah, being able to go pre or post fader is great, because having pre fader allows you to do some really interesting things. Like you can tease sounds in before you actually bring them in by just running them through the effect and having just the effect, just the wet effect without any of the dry signal. So yeah, very cool. What key are you using on the Oxy One for your voices, and how do you decide track length for each voice? So I personally like to have things in E. I generally like Phrygian E for melodic stuff, because I like the kind of dark, it's like a minor key that's even darker, because the first interval is just at one tone, one semitone. So it's like, it makes it like having that, those tones right next to each other sounds darker. And I just like that in the style of music that I do. I pick E because I like to have, bass and sub and low end be in the key of E, because that means they're going to be at about 40-ish hertz. I can't remember exactly what it is, 42, 44, 48, I don't remember. But so that gets something that's really low when you're on a good sound system that can actually reproduce that sound. But then you've got up an octave from that and you're still in the low end. So if you're not on a really great sound system, you still can hear the frequencies on the next octave up. Where when you're lower than that, if you're not on a good sound system, you may not hear all of your low end. And then if you're too high, if you are in a good sound system, you won't get that super boomy kind of thunderous low end. So I like E, I like Phrygian. Sometimes I'll do things chromatic just to make them sound a bit more dissonant. But yeah, that's the key that I like to use. And as far as track length for each voice, I never go more than 16 steps, or at least very rarely, because I like to be able to see everything when I perform. I don't like when it changes pages, because then I kind of lose track of where I am in the performances. And I would rather use probabilities or polymetric sequences to polymeters and polyrhythms in order to get things to sound longer than they are. But I like to keep them 16 steps or less. And often, just because of the type of techno that I'm doing, often things are 8 steps or less. But I'll have like an 8-step pattern interacting with a 5-step pattern. And so it evolves so much over time that it sounds like it's much different length than it actually is, if that makes sense. So, Super 6 desktop version, yes. Still find Eurorack intimidating. Unfortunately, it'll most likely be in the electronic ecosystem for life. I mean, I actually was talking to a friend about that just this morning, that modular looks way more intimidating than it is, right? When you take a look at a modular live setup and you realize that everything that's coming out of this module right here, which is most of what you see, is CV and gate. So that is note length and pitch that's coming out. So it's 2 cables going to each voice are note length and pitch. And then you've got either 1 or 2 cables, if it's mono or stereo, coming back into the mixer. And that's most of what you see. There are some things that are interacting and modulating and stuff like that, but not a lot. Then you have 2 that are going out to this end, 2 going to this end, 2 coming back, return, 2 coming back, return. So there's not a lot. It's not as crazy as it looks. It looks way more impressive than it is. It's actually relatively simple. Then you start involving modulation, but still, like if you want to modulate, send an LFO to something, that's just 1 cable that's doing that. Or send another LFO to another thing, or send an envelope to another thing. It's just 1 cable each time you do that. Once you get past this kind of the basics of making, sending signal and returning audio is what most of this is. So once you get past that, it's not nearly as complicated as it looks. And it's just like it is in your Electron box. The only difference is that those are cabled behind the scenes and it happens on a screen. But for the most part, it's exactly the same. So don't be too intimidated. Like it's not nearly as intimidating as it looks. I'll just let you know that. Let's see. I use the Tascam Model 12, fantastic mixer. I agree, I love it. I have the Model 24 and I don't think I've ever recorded to SD on it because that's just an extra step for me, because I would never record to SD and then release the track, right? I still need to come into a DAW in order to be able to mix and master. And so like that recording to SD is an extra step for me. The only reason why I do it here with the Blue Box is just because it's way more portable and I can do that when I'm traveling. And I don't have to bring a computer and an audio interface and all of that stuff to take with me when I travel. So that one's really out of necessity. But the record to SD and then go to a DAW, for me, that's always been an extra step. So, what are your favorite small HP European voices? Basto Pizza, I would say, fits right into that. I like a lot of the Shakmat stuff, and they have some stuff that's pretty small size. What else? The Erica stuff's a little bigger. Noise Engineering is from the US. The Bastel stuff, all of it is really cool and super powerful for the size. So if you're looking for small HP, but that does a lot and that's made in Europe, I would say check out the Bastel stuff. That would be my recommendation. It was on the DB4 looper for improv stuff and the effects, but yeah, there's so many smaller ways to get looping and effects than have to carry around a DJ mixer. But yeah, let's see where we at. Ooh, I skipped ahead. Auto Machines Baby Cherie. Yeah, Baby Cherie it's rotary. It's not faders, so it defeats the purpose for me. For me, faders are super important in a performance mixer. And is that 6-channel stereo or 6-channel mono? I can't remember. And 1 effect send, if I'm not wrong. So it's still relatively limited. But the biggest thing for me is the no faders. Like it's hard for me to perform without having faders. Ergonomics seem like an afterthought in some mixers, totally. Where we at? Is there a mix as a nice compromise? Yep. It is. It's still a little small for me, and it's a digital mixer. So if you're not careful with your levels, you can get digital clipping, and it sounds awful. When you have an analog mixer, clipping becomes drive, which can sound good. So yeah, but yeah, the Ceramixa is a good option if you're looking for a digital, for sure. So what do you set on your Oxy One since you're doing improv with no cues? I don't set anything. I set up key. I set up like individual voices. So like, for example, I'll have, take those off here. So here on track one, I mean on sequencer one, I've got different voices. So on the bottom track here, that's my kick. So that's that one. Yeah, so that's my kick. Next one, I have a secondary kick. And those play together. So that's those. Then I'll have hi-hats here. So yep, so those can work together like that. Then I will do, so this is like Percon's voice, so that's that voice. Sequencer 2 I have set up as a mono, so this one is kind of like piano roll style, and that's for the pizza. Okay. Track 3 is set up also as a mono voice. That's the BIA. Right. So basically, each one is set up as its own voice, or going to its own voice, unless it's a multi, which I do with a lot of the drum sequences. So that way, I can kind of see what I'm doing. I can switch back and forth between different voices as I want to, and then I set key and pattern length, really, and that's kind of all that's preset in the sequencer before I start. And then when I get up there to play, I just start writing patterns, and I'm writing them in here, designing sounds, and I just got to go from there. So everything starts from zero, from blank. So yeah, so that's what I put on my Oxy. Let's see. About the Union Audio Orbit 4, I don't know. I have not messed with that at all. I don't even know what that is. I'd love to get my hands on a Javelin as well. Yeah, me too, man. I can't wait. They're supposed to be making some more. I was talking to Alex from WMD recently, and he said that they're going to be doing at some point another run of those, hopefully soon. Right now they're working on getting out the Scorpions, and what else do they have? Scorpions, and I think they're going to have that effects unit coming out soon, but I don't know if they're building that yet. I know they're still building Scorpions right now, though, to get those out. Any experience with Hapax? I got Oxy One, but I tested a friend's Hapax, and it was very intuitive. Yeah, I mean, Hapax is great. They're, like I mentioned earlier, the Hapax, the Oxy, and the Torso T1 are all kind of like the top of the game as far as mixers go. Each one's a little different. Workflow kind of depends on what you like. I'll let you know why I went with the Oxy, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily better for you. For me, the things that were important were the Oxy is battery powered. So sometimes I don't have enough connections and I can just run it off battery for a gig. I can also use it on a plane without having to plug it into anything, which I love as well. I love the size of it and the portability of it. And I felt like the trade-off, it does almost everything the Hapax does in a much smaller package that's battery powered. And so for me, that was really, really important. The T1 was a bit limited for me, only because a little bit less I/O, a little bit less connectivity, wasn't battery powered, but it's small. So like, I looked at all of them, and it was kind of a trade-off. And I think that no matter which one of those you go with, you're not going to make a mistake. Like, they're all good. It just comes down to finding the thing that you click with the best. And I definitely click with the Oxy the best, but that's different for everybody. So I wouldn't say you have to get one over another for sure. TR8S still has a ton of things to give for modular, semi-modular setups. Sure, yeah, it's a good one. I had a TR8S for a while, didn't gel with it at all. I've never been a fan of Roland workflows. I just think that they're really, really not very well designed as far as like, you know, the TR8S, once you get it set up, it's great and it's fun to play with the faders and the knobs, but you can't really get into it and change anything because it's like that little screen and kind of one knob to be able to control things and multiple layers of menus. So you're kind of set with what you set up. You're kind of stuck, with what you set up. With the TR1000, it's totally different. It's like the workflow is nothing like the TR8S workflow other than the faders and the knobs, but the actual workflow for doing effects and sound design and sample editing and all that stuff is so much more intuitive with the TR1000 than it is with the TR8S. And it does a lot more as well. It's got all the analog engines, blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. But yes, the TR8S is great for its performance capabilities, but actually getting under the hood live, I didn't get along with that. I couldn't make that happen. But a lot of people don't mess with things live. So anyway, let's see here. Thinking Syntac might be a better option to travel with rather than TR1000. Apples and oranges. The Syntac was fine. Sound quality nowhere near the TR1000, playability nowhere near the TR1000, improv ability nowhere near the TR1000. TR1000 can sample and sample edit and time stretch and do all that stuff that the Syntac doesn't sample. The TR1000 has the knobs and faders. The Syntac doesn't have. You have to switch from menu to menu to menu in order to be able to do things. With this, I can push 8 faders at once and move them around, where with the Syntac, you have to go in and adjust individual knobs for each volume thing. It's just like, that's a great device, but it's nothing like the TR1000 as far as the ability to play it live. That's the key. So it would be smaller to travel with, but at that point, I just wouldn't travel with anything. I would just use the sounds that I have in my modular. Let's see, say you hear something inspirational in a set or performance. What's your process for figuring out how to bring it into your own sets? Like, what's the practice like? I actually do that a lot. Like, I'll listen to DJ sets and live performances, and I'll hear things and go, oh, I like that. Why do I like that? What's the thing? And I'll be like, oh, I like the way this rhythm was a different length than this rhythm. What were they? And then I'll try to count them out. And then I'll jump into my sequencer and try to do that and go, okay, how can I replicate that type of rhythm? Like, I'm not trying to replicate the exact song, but I try to figure out what it is that I like in the thing and break it down into a way that I can use it. And say, like, okay, how would I make that happen if I could put that into my setup? So that's mostly what I do is I get probably over analytical about stuff and try to figure out how it was made. Okay, I need courses from you. Yes, you do. Let's do it, man. Get in there. And it's actually not that hard to figure out the time. Just to let you know, if you sign up for the course, the videos are all self-paced. You can watch them whenever you want. The live sessions are twice a week for a month, so there's 8 of those, and they're all recorded. So if you can't make it to the live session, you can always watch it whenever it's convenient for you afterwards. You do miss out on the live interaction, but if you need to miss a couple, that's fine. And we do those generally, you're in Berlin, so they're generally at 6 p.m. for an hour or 7 p.m. for an hour. It kind of depends on Wednesdays and Sundays. So it'll give you a chance to jump on, and if you can't, then you can always watch it afterwards. So definitely do that. Let's see, Syntac Digatone 2 and external sequencer is all you need for a live show. Absolutely. I mean, I saw last year at Superbooth, or was it last year or year before? I saw Cuckoo play an entire live set just on a Diatone 1 with 4 tracks. No other device, just a Diatone 1. No controller, no nothing. Played an entire club set just on that. So you don't need any of this stuff. It comes down to, what do you want? What's fun? What do you enjoy? And this is where we go with the drum machine thing. Like, I don't need the TR-8S to play my set, but it's really fun to interact with. It's really fun to play live. It's really fun to get in there and manipulate sound. Same thing with modular. I don't need modular. I could just use a laptop and a MIDI controller and I could play a live set. But for me, that's not as much fun. And for me, ultimately, the most important part of all of this is that it's fun. So that's how I choose. Let's see, modular world is so big. Don't worry about being scared of it. It's fine. Dip your toe in if you want, or not. You don't have to. You can do all that stuff with other stuff. I've only used record SD and live jam with friends. Yeah, of course. Oh, Euro-Rack, not European. Euro-Rack voices, I love all of the noise engineering ones, and especially the new Alia versions, because you can swap out firmware. So if you buy one, you know, let's say you get a BIA, you buy it and you want to try one of their other ones, you just flash the firmware and you can try the other one before you buy it. And so I would say if you were getting voices and you weren't sure what to get one of the noise engineering ones to start off with, because it's a great way to try a bunch of different ones. Their effects are the same too, the Versios. So for sure, look into that. Time to start looking at some cases. Of course. Zermix's analog but digital control, really? I thought it was digital mixer. Are you sure about that? Huh. Anyway, yeah, for me, the Zermixa, I mean, it's a great mixer. It's just the size was the thing for me. Where are we at? Cues are important. Could be. I don't use cues, but it all depends on how you want to play. They can be very important if you need them. SSL6 is a fab mixer. Yes. Yes, I will say hesitantly. Did this replace the shock mod? I think you're probably talking about the kick. I still have the battering ram kick in here, but the Bohm is now my primary kick. Battering ram I'm using for like secondary rhythms on that. Love my sound palette. Thanks, man. I love it too. That's why I chose those. Getting set up as soon as the stream ends. Sweet. Do that. Loves her mix with the expander to trigger ducking and other shenanigans. Very cool. Live improv is the way forward. I totally agree with you. Super stoked for my Scorpion. Yeah, Scorpion it sounds awesome. Mixers are at the venue also, but more to set up. Yeah, I would never in my life play a live set using the venue's mixer unless I had the chance to do an extensive sound check to set it up the way I wanted to, and unless I knew that from the time the sound check ended until I performed, nobody else would use it for anything else, which all of those stipulations almost will never happen. The places will tell you to kiss off. So yeah, I would never do that just because there's so many different settings, so many things that can go wrong. And setting levels, especially with Euro-Rack and different types of things, you want to have your mixer set up so that you know exactly what it is. So because like every module, every voice is different. It all sounds different. And so if you're trying to do that through a mixer, through a house mixer, it's really, really, really difficult to do that, but you have to get it set up correctly and then nobody else can touch it until you play, which I've never had a place okay with that. Um, agree on the TR8S, yeah. The way to go is TR1000. It is. Yes, it is. I agree. Especially if you've got the space. Yeah, it's big and it's really heavy. That's the other thing. But yeah. Syntax has to have some updates. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. I like it. There's one thing I would say, you know, I've spoken a lot with the people at Electron. One thing is temper your expectations about the updates on the Syntax, because there are a lot of things in the Syntax that can't be updated because it's analog circuitry and it's already routed. So like I was asking, one of the updates that I had asked them for was on the Digitact and Digitone, if you have a mono voice coming into one of the inputs and a mono voice coming into the other one, you can split them inside in the mixer control and have like each one have its own effects, its own whatever. And you can't do that in the Syntax, it's only stereo. And they said, yeah, they can't do that because it's hardwired because it's going through analog effects. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, good to know. So there will be things in the Syntax that can't be updated, and there will be other things that can, because it's a combination of an analog and a digital device. So a lot of the analog stuff won't be able to be updated because it's hardwired into it. So just keep your expectations realistic about what they can and can't update. But yeah. Let's see what else. Interesting. What had been your favorite mixer not Eurorack? The problem is, for live performance, I haven't found one that I like. You know, it's like the closest the closest things that are really sorry. The closest things that are really usable are DJ mixers. But again, they're limited. Like if money was no object and traveling was no object, my answer would be the Pioneer V10. That for me is the best live performance kind of like live performance mixer for the type of music that I play, because it has, you know, it's 6 channels, has great ways to route signal, route effects, multiple effect sends, different output paths. It has a compressor per channel. It has all sorts of cool stuff. But it is like, it's like 2.5 times the size of the TR1000, or maybe 2 times the size of the TR1000. So traveling with it is virtually a nightmare, or I should say a nightmare and virtually impossible. Now, if you're a huge act like Carl Cox, he uses one when he plays live. He doesn't have to travel with it because he's big enough that he can say, have a V10 there for me that I can connect all my stuff to, that nobody else uses, that I can have a big sound check on. So he doesn't have to travel with it. But for most of us, we're not in that place. And so, yeah, it's the V10 for me is kind of the only one that I think has kind of the capabilities of a modern live performance mixer, I think. I haven't seen really anything else out there, and certainly nothing out there that's portable, you know, other than Eurorack. And that's kind of why I went the route of using the Exelon mixer, is because it fits in my case. So it's part of my travel setup already. I've got 12 stereo channels, 2 effect sends. Each one of those stereo channels can be dual mono just with the flip of a switch. So I could go to 24 channels if I wanted. So I could have multiple voices in my case. I can have outboard gear like the TR1000 and the black box coming through it. If I wanted to add in other machines, they can each get their own track. They can share the effect sends. So like having all of those capabilities is, for me, what's really, really important in live performance. When you start to go into the DJ mixer thing, you don't have the portability, and you also don't have enough tracks to do what you need to do. So it's like, it's like the worst of both worlds. Yeah, there's a lot of DJ mixers that sound really, really good. You know, any of the Alan Heath stuff, Play Differently, the V10, like any of those, they sound great, and they're good quality, but they're gigantic and very limited in what they can handle for live performance, because they're really designed as DJ mixers. So you like 4 tracks is kind of standard because you may have 4 decks, you know, but if you have, you know, I'm using right now 10 of my 12 tracks in this setup. And so in order to get 10 tracks using like a zone mixer or a Play Differently mixer, I would need 3 of them. So it's like it just starts to get ridiculous. So there's a portability versus capability thing that I think is really important. So that's why I'm here. Oops. That's why I use the mixer that I do in the modular case. So anyway, let's see where we at. V10. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, that's the one. If there was one, I would say that would be the one. Play Differently. Yeah. I mean, fine as well. Play Differently is basically a zone mixer, you know, rebranded. And so, yeah, they're great, but it's, you know, 4 tracks. You have a couple of auxiliary tracks that are a little bit limited. You know, so maximum you've got 6 tracks with a couple of send and returns, and that's really it. You know, yes, you have EQs, but in live performance, EQ isn't as important as it is in DJing. Like that's why there's DJ mixers. Use all of that stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, that's that. So let's see here, where are we at? Some company has to do the challenge and make a mixer portable for us. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that's like what we've been talking about. The thing is, like, start a company to do mixers. It's like there's a reason why there's not a lot of companies doing mixers out there. You know, like just look at the mixers that we're talking about. Like modular's a little different because you're creating modules, and that's a little bit easier because, you know, you've got the power supply that's already part of the case. You've got all of that kind of stuff. But what am I talking about? The technology, the R&D, and the knowledge that goes into creating mixers is massive. So that's why you've basically got 2 companies out there. You've got in like the DJ mixer world, you have Pioneer. Well, actually 3. You've got Pioneer, Allen and Heath, and Rain, and that's really it. I mean, that's kind of all that there is, because there's just not enough return for companies to go out there and make it. Like I know that Analog Kitchen worked on a mixer. He created a mixer that he played with when I played with him in Berlin last. And the thing was as big as a V10 and just as heavy, gigantic, way less capabilities. And it's like it sounded great. It sounded amazing. And it could do the things that you would want a mixer to do, but there's no way you could travel with that. It's just like way too big. So like, that's the thing, is it's not just something that anybody can do, like not just something that anybody can make, right? It's, yeah, it has to be something. And in the meantime, all we really have out there is modular stuff. And that for me right now. I mean, I will tell you that if you're going to play live and if you have any modular capability at all, modular mixing is your best option right now. Just because it's going to give you the best trade-off of size, portability, capability, sound quality, all that stuff. Going into those freestanding ones, man, they're just too big and they're just too limited. So, WD Performance Mixer MK2 versus Exelon. The both very good. It's funny, when Exelon came out, it was a big step ahead of the Performance Mixer Mark 1. Then the Mark 2 came out and they kind of lined back up. They both have 2 effect sends, they can be pre-fader. All the tracks are stereo now in the Performance Mixer, which they didn't used to be, and they're all stereo in the Exelon. I will say that, I can show you this again too. For me, the reason why I chose the Exelon is not because of the mixer, only the mixer itself, it's because of all of the other stuff that goes with it. So I have one 3-channel expander. I have another different type of 3-channel expander that's smaller here. I have an output module that gives me my pre-fader or post-fader outputs that I can take out to this of every single track of every channel, including the expanders, right? So I have 12 channels of stereo outputs that I can choose from to go out multi-track from my mixer, and they can be either pre-fader or post-fader. Then I also have my main out, my effects 1 out and my effects 2 out. So my effects send buses the returns are going out on their own channels plus stereo out, and that's all in a little 8 HP unpowered module. So it's like having a mini patch bay in my case. So that for me was one of the big reasons for this one. Obviously, I love the sound of this. I have to say, I love the playability of this mixer. The length of the faders, the space between them, it's not too small, so you don't feel like you're, tweaking with the ends of your fingers. Same thing with the knobs as well. Like there's good resistance. They're big enough that they have enough throw, so you have a lot of control over what you're dialing in. So that's why I love this mixer. Now, the WMD Performance Mixer Mark II, also really, really good. It's a little bit bigger than this, but it has 8 channels instead of 6. They're all stereo as well. 2 effect sends. The knobs are a bit smaller. The faders are a bit smaller. But if that doesn't matter to you, then it's a great option. But I would say that the Exelon and the WMD are kind of the two really at the top of their game as far as performance mixers go, because they're both really, really good, really playable, right? They're really good to like get your hands on and play as an instrument rather than just kind of like tweaking a thing and then just forget about it until the next time you need to tweak a thing, if that makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense or not, but anyway, let's see. Where do we have all those rotary mixers? Yeah, hipsters. They are too big. Eurorack substantially better than Electron. Sound quality wise, no. The Electron sounds great. The Electrons are more capable in a smaller package than modular. Modular is more playable, more hands-on, more kind of knob per function, and way more flexible, because if you don't like a filter, you can swap it out, where you can't do that with the Electron. You can reroute things any way you want, and the only Electrons you can do that on really are the Obscura and the Tonework, to be able to reroute things and send them different ways. A little bit on the Syntact with the effects block, but not as much as you can in Eurorack. All right, let's see. Never used a modular, I'm a little scared. Everybody gets scared of it at first, but I was too, but it's awesome. Thank you for how deep you go. Seems like Exelon seems super versatile. I mean, I appreciate it. Like, I appreciate the thanks, because I do it because I love it and because I want to help people as much as I can. So if it helps you, that makes me feel good. Exelon for me is the choice that I made because I really love it. But you know, I think with the WMD you can't go wrong either. It's a different tactile experience and a bit different sound experience. But both really great quality, both pretty big. You know, the bass module of the WMD is a bit bigger than the kind of bass mixer module without the expanders of the Exelon, but it has 2 more tracks. So it's bigger, but it has more tracks. So it really comes down to whichever you want. I love the playability of the Exelon. It's something that I've gotten used to and really enjoy. So anyway, where are we at? I have the post fader expander for WMD, and that's really a nice upgrade. Yeah, it's cool. That one, if I'm not wrong, yeah, that one is, it's the 8 channels of the mixer, and that's it, right? And it can do stereo, and it can be either pre or post. Yeah. And I think that, and the thing with the Exelon is you've got that same thing, but then you also have your effects sends stereo, your main mix out stereo, your effects returns and your main mix out are also included on there. So yeah, they're again, both very, very similar, which is cool. They both are very awesome mixers and great companies, really nice people. So I would highly recommend both of them. So anyway, any other questions? If you've got anything else, chuck it into the chat. I'm happy to answer. And then we can call it and say Merry Christmas to everybody, or Happy Hanukkah, or I don't know which other, Happy Kwanzaa eventually. I don't think that's yet. I think that's next week. Whichever holidays you celebrate, have an amazing holiday. But in the meantime, I'll still answer any other questions you guys have before we call it. This will probably be the last one for the year. I don't think I'll do one next Saturday because we have family in town for the holidays. But yes, Merry Beep Boop. Yes, that's the official hardware holiday, right? Does the WMD MK1 have pre-fader? So the MK1, I think one of them can be pre-fader, maybe, I don't remember. And yes, the one big difference between the MK1 and the MK2 is that the MK1 is still 8 tracks, but only 2 of them are stereo, and the other 6 are all mono tracks. Where with the MK2 and the Exelon, all of them are all stereo or can be dual mono. So a lot more flexibility there. It's mind-blowing that we all have the opportunity to use such amazing gear. I totally agree. I say that a lot. Like, what a great time to be alive, that there's gear for everybody. That's why I always try to say it's not that this is good or bad, or this is the best or the worst or whatever. This is what's good for me. And that's what I'll tell you. And I talk about that a lot in these streams. Like, I use this and I'll tell you the reasons why I use it. And if those reasons are important to you, then maybe it's good for you. And if they're not important to you, then whatever, ignore me. But it's not that it's better or worse. It's that it's better for me or worse for me, that I don't get along with it. Like, I don't get along with Roland workflows, so the TR-8S was not a good drum machine for me. But for other people, they swear by it. They love it. It's their favorite drum machine. For me, I used to love the Electron analog rhythm, still do. And for some people, they don't like the Electron workflow. They don't get along with that. So it just kind of comes down to what you do and what you love and what's the best connection for you. Because, like I said, all through this stream, what it comes down to is it fun? Right? Are you having fun doing it? If you have fun with a piece of gear and it makes sounds that you enjoy, it's the best piece of gear there is. I don't care what it is. It doesn't make any difference, right? And if you don't have fun with it, or it doesn't make the sounds that you want it to make, it's the worst piece of gear. I don't care what anybody else says about it. It all comes down to your experience. Are you having a good time? Do you enjoy it? Right? That's the most important piece. A couple more shameless plugs as we wind this down, but please feel free to pop in any other questions. I'm not calling this unless you guys want to go, but shameless plug for my my EP Obscura that just came out on Diffuse Reality label. It's sitting at number 10 on the Beatport Top 100 Techno chart right now. I would love, if you're thinking about buying it, buy it today. There's a link in the description of the video here. Buy it today. because the more people we get to buy all in one batch, it really pushes it as far as charting on the Beatport chart. So if you click to that, go through, grab a copy of it. It really helps me a lot, and we'll see if we can push it any higher than number 10. It premiered yesterday at number 18. Today it already jumped up to number 10 overnight last night. So if you grab stuff right now, today, we'll see where it is tomorrow. Let's see if we can push it higher. That would be amazing for me and would be super helpful. And you'll love it. It's a great album. There's kind of intro ambient tracks. There's kind of driving tracks. There's hypnotic tracks. There's a more tribal sounding track. There's like a more acidy sounding track or whatever. So definitely grab that. And the other shameless plug is for my courses. My improvised live performance course and my hybrid production course are both enrolling right now for January. I'm not sure when the next one will be because of the move and all of that stuff. So if you're thinking about it, sign up now for the January one and just jump right in, and you'll have a great time. It's well worth it. There's a link to that as well in the description of the video. Go to circlelive.com/courses, and you can see the outline of what the course looks like and get signed up. That would be amazing. I appreciate all of that and all of you. So let's see. Have a nice holiday. Thank you. You too. Appreciate that. Looking forward to it. Have family coming in from out of town. It's going to be very nice. Can you go through your setup? I agree with the TR8. I didn't get along with it. Yeah, my setup is pretty, I don't want to, anytime I say it's pretty simple, everybody goes, wow, but you've got so much gear. Yes, it's not a basic setup, but it's very simple. I have one sequencer right here, the Oxy One, that controls everything that's inside my modular. In my modular, I have drums and percussion voices down here, the battering ram, the Archer's rig, the Percon's voice, and the Bohm. Those are all here. Then I have the Noisite Warp, which is a multi-voice wavetable and additive and FM synth. I have the WMD Clutch, which is a hi-hat / percussion voice. Erica Synth's bassline, which is just what it is, a bassline. It's it does great for all different types of basses, from 303 style to sub basses to re-spaces to all of that stuff. I have the Noise Engineering BIA, the Basimilus Iteratus Alter, which is another kind of percussive / tonal voice. The Bastel Pizza, which is an FM voice, and then the Oxy Choral, which is an 8-voice multi-timbral synth that can be all different sorts of voices. Those, some of those have individual insert effects, like the BIA and the Pizza are both going through FX8 effects, which is kind of like a combo delay reverb. That's how I have it set up. Those all go into the Exelon mixer, which then has 2 sends. One is going pre-fader to a reverb, which is the Noise Engineering Desmodus Versio. And then the other one is going to the Endorphins Ghost, which is kind of like an effects chain in a box with delay, reverb, filter, compressor, overdrive, distortion, all that stuff in one machine. So I can send things out to that to get some really nice kind of splashes of cool, interesting sounds. Returns come back into the mixer as well. Then the mixer goes through the Bohm to get some sidechain, goes through the Oxy Meta for end of chain effects, like, performance effects. Then that goes into the Noise Engineering, the Polydactyl Versio, which is a multi-band, it's a saturator and multi-band limiter. And then that goes to the board brain monitor, which is my output. And so that sends out stereo out to my main thing. Then I also have the Roland TR-1000 drum machine that's actually coming into a channel in my mixer as well. So it kind of submixes itself with the faders, and then the master out from that comes in to my whole mixing environment here. So it can go through my performance effects, sidechain, and then end of chain processing with the multiband limiting and saturation. And then I have right here the 1010 black box. And this is just playing some looped samples for like vocals and, random sounds, things that I've done in productions or swiped from other performances of mine that I'll just load into there to use as extra sounds in the performance. And that's pretty much everything. So one sequencer, modular, that's all of my voices, a lot of drums and melodic voices, and mixing and effects, and then a drum machine, and then one sampler that has some looped samples. And they're all kind of interchangeable. The drum machine could be any drum machine, the sampler could be any sampler, the modular voices could be any modular voices. So yeah, so that's it. I hope that helps. What else? Loving my SSL Big 6. Yeah, it's a great mixer. Very cool. Have a nice Sunday yourself. One of the Eurorack mixer companies at Brastronica couldn't stop talking about you and your amazing feedback for them. Oh, thank you very much. Hopefully it was the Board Brain guys, because I use their mixer here. That's the Exelon, which I love. I'm a massive fan, so I hope. Let's see, I have the DB1 baseline, love it. Yeah, I mean, the baseline standalone, the DB1 is basically the same as the baseline module. Very, very similar. They're not exactly the same, but very, very similar. This is just a Eurorack version of it. Thanks, enjoy your holidays too. Greetings from Mexico. Where are you in Mexico? Pop in there. We will be, as soon as we sell our house, we'll be going first to Mexico to visit family. So I will be in Mexico in a couple months from now. Actually, a couple months from this weekend, I will be in Mexico, where I've spent a lot of time. I lived in Mexico for a couple years. So where are you? Let's see what else. I think that's it. Any more questions? Pop them into the chat. We're almost done. You can get those last questions in there. We have just a few minutes left. So happy to answer whatever. But tell me where in Mexico you are. I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Where in Mexico? I'm hoping to play when I get down there. That's something I'm going to try to reconnect with some people in Mexico City for something. Try to put something together. That would be amazing. It's been a while since I haven't played Mexico City in quite a while. So, what else? I think that's about it. Cool. Well, I guess we'll call it then. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. I hope you got something out of this, and hope you got something out of these for this year. This is the wrap up for 2025. So hopefully you got something out of it. Pick up my release if you can. Oh, Mexico City. Awesome. Where are you? My wife is from Mexico City. That's why we're going to visit there. We're actually going to be in Valle de Bravo. That's where my mother-in-law lives. And so we were going to go spend some time there. But I want to get back to playing Mexico City. So if you know any promoters there that want to book me end of February, beginning of March, connect me. Send them my way. I will be back there and I would love to come play there. So that would be sweet. Yeah, so thank you guys very much. I hope you got a lot out of these this year. It's been a great 2025, despite all of the horrific things happening in the world. We've managed to have these fun streams that keep us sane, this music that keeps us sane. So keep doing that, keep making music, and keep focused on these things that make you happy and that you have a lot of fun with. I hope you get inspired, and I hope to see a bunch of you in the courses. Those have been amazing. And if not, keep an eye on my social media, and there'll be a lot of information out there about where I'm going to be playing this coming year. Lots of amazing gigs coming up. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And I hope to see you at the gigs, and come up and say hi if I do. I always love to meet people in real life and not just digitally. So definitely do that, and grab my release, join the courses, and I hope to see you all in real life soon. Thank you guys very much. Have a Merry Christmas. Have a happy holiday. Happy New Year. And here's to hoping that 2026 is less fucked up than 2025 was. All right. Have a great one, and we will see you all next year. Thank you guys. Have a great one.